Welcome back, everybody. I'm back. And guess what? I got a whole new pack. So this is called Toda-Tools. The guys in my community were all saying, why do we have to have everything all in one, right? And this is a fair point. So what I did was I took a whole bunch of things which we use with the new video models. So that could be Mochi, it could be LTXV, it could be generations you got from Kling or Runway or wherever it is you're generating your video. And then the point is, or even animated diff if you're still running that, there's nothing wrong with that. It still works. If you don't want to miss my next video, hit that subscribe button because YouTube ain't going to tell you. And then what we've done is we've made a whole bunch of tools which are like processors, okay? I'm going to show you what they are in just a quick minute. But to give you the sort of Cliff's Notes, I guess, Toda-Tools is a bunch of video-to-video workflows that do just one thing. So the idea is you could open up a tab and just have one of the workflows there. Put the video in that you want to work with, and we've got interpolation coming in 3 different flavors. We've got Rife, Film, and GIM. Those are coming out of the Zoda pack, so you would have seen them for the LTXV recently. We've also got the Flux Animation Boosted Upscaler and Enhancer, if you use it at Upscale 1, from the Foda pack, which is about 3 months old now, and I used that in the recent Zoda workflow. In the last video, we took a look at that. So that's something you can also do. Just load the video one end and you get another video at the other end. Reactive face swapping. This is actually originally from the Loki pack, which probably a lot of people have even forgotten about by now because it's getting quite old, but it still works 100%. We just put that into the Zoda pack recently as well, so I did show that in the last video. And then also the FFX Fadorama, which is part of my DJZ nodes custom node suite, which you can pick up over on GitHub. But the big thing which I've been working on today is VideoGrids. A lot of the time we want to be comparing videos. So these are just some outputs from LTXV that we were messing around with not so long ago. They come in 2x2 and 3x3, and these take all different video clips. So that's mostly for comparison, okay? So you want to have a whole bunch of different configurations. I haven't done any overlays or anything yet. We'll get there. So there will be more video grids added into that section. I'm sure you know what interpolation, upscaling, face swapping, and transitions are. So I'm going to talk mostly about the video grid stuff today. Also, something which I like to mess around with is big grids of videos, and then we do effects on them, all right? So this is a 2x3 setup. So it'll be the same video goes in every single one usually. And then we might have already generated, a sequence of video, which we're then going to have playing in here. Now, my intention is to get it running staggered. So it's the same video, but it's sort of like playing at a different part in each section. But for now, they all look exactly the same. And this actually has a nice effect too. So we've got 3 different video grids up now. There's 2 different ways of doing them. So one is using a particular set of nodes, which has like a column and row setup. So you could make that as big as you want, really, in any direction. You could go as many, so you can have really big grids. But I've only given you examples of the basic 2x2, the basic 3x3, which is pretty much automatic. You just plug them in and go. And then a 2x3 example of the custom. We'll show you in just a second. And then what that leads us to is Roda. So again, we got another V3 pack out. I think there's some issues with, I think Civit's doing maintenance again, so you can't see this. So I'm just quickly going to play that video. Okay, so there you go. You can see we've got a little bit of a grid theme with Off the Grid, and then one of my new hardstyle tracks. That's a preview. The album is not out yet, but it will be out very shortly. So I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of a blast, but the point is glitch grids. So yeah, V3 is going to include a new workflow which allows you to load a video in and then do RGB glitch according to the audio file which you supply to that workflow. All right. So that's the main thing about that. There's not really much more to say about it. I can show you the actual workflow real quick here. So this is the Roda-AudioReactive video glitch. It's almost exactly the same, although it's spread out a little bit more. It's exactly the same as the audio scrubber. I have just used Ryanontheinside's Flex image glitch setup with the default values, and we've just had it driven by the same settings which I was using for the scrubber. And then we get this awesome video. Shall we do it? It's my audio, so I can do what I want. Anyway, it's probably going to echo horribly, so I won't do that for long. The point is that there it is, and because it's in the sort of processor format where it's just doing one thing, I mean, this is in the Roda pack, but this whole processor idea, you just have one thing, so then I'm not going to do anything else afterwards. I'm just going to take that file, and then maybe I could do something else with that file in a later process. So that's what we're doing now, you know, we do one thing, take the file, and there you go. You can do something else with that afterwards. So that's about it. So let's jump over to the Toda. I want to go back to Toda and just give you a little explanation of what's going on with that 2x3 grid. So here it is. This is where we made the 2x3 grid. I got a meme. Here's my meme right there. Got that. I think it's just off of like an MP3 or sorry, MP4 or a GIF or something like that. And what we've done is we've loaded it in here. It looks like this is an old version, so I think the version that you'll get is a little bit more cleaned up. See, originally I was trying to do stacking, or staggering, so that what it would do is it would like play a different section in each one, but the problem was there was an offset length, so it didn't actually work. So I think I've simplified this, and the one that you'll get doesn't have a lot of this junk here. But I've figured out how I'm going to do that, and I'll put that in the next update. I originally was doing the glitch at the same time, okay, as doing the grid, and I'll be honest, I nearly cooked my computer because it turned out this is huge. It's like 1920 by 1280, I think. So, you know, I've learned to do a bit more checking with my resizing, but don't worry, the version that you'll get is just this section here, and it's a bit more simplified. But as I was saying, you can make these any size you want, because you can just have more videos coming in. You can change the input count or the direction if you want it to be tall, not wide. And obviously what we have here is we have rows going to the right, 2 rows going to the right, and then they both go together going down. And that's using Kijai's extremely useful image concatenate multi. So there it is, and it's intended for you to be able to compare your video generations, but we're using it for a little bit of fun here to make an effect, and as I've already shown you. So that's pretty much the whole point of this particular workflow. But just to give you a rough idea of what I'm talking about with the Toda stuff, if we open up the folder, you'll see that there's face swap, interpolation, transitions, upscaler, and VideoGrid, which is what we've already looked at. Face swap is going to contain this one, which is literally the face swap module on its own. Ignore the video. It's just, for some reason, loading a previous video I made that wasn't this workflow. So essentially what you do is you load in the video, which has got the portrait. You select the model of yours, which you've obviously already made, and if you haven't, go and get the Loki pack. It'll have a face model creator. It's pretty simple to make the safe. All you have to do, just I may as well show this because why not? If I say save face model for Reactor, it's part of the Reactor set, you see, and all you have to do is give it a name. So you would give it a name, and then you can load the image. And obviously you can have a lot of them. So you could have like a batch, right? So we could say search, we could say batch images, all right? And so say I had like 2 or maybe 3 pictures of the same person. I can obviously, wait, that's not a good one. It only does 2. Let's try a different one, shall we? I don't want to do that though. I hate it when it does that. It's annoying. Batch images. You're going to say make image batch. That's just one, isn't it? No. I bet when you add it, yeah, there you go. You want the impact pack make image batch, because what it'll do is it'll just give you more every time you add to it. And then you put that into the save face model. So that's all you have to do. And like I said, if I was to now turn this off, right? What's going to happen is whatever I give the name, that's going to be the name of the safe tensors file, which you can then load in the loading face model section. And the reason you do this is because it's a lot faster. And if you want to do animation, which is like lots and lots of frames of face swapping, you really don't want to be using a single image, or as I've got here, a batch of images. You really want to be saving a face model, okay? And there's a whole bunch of other stuff you can do with blending and all kinds of stuff. It's really cool. So just remember to turn that off when you're done, okay? Or just delete it, because once you've run this with this on and your name in there, it will save that face model, and then you'll be able to load it with the normal nodes. So just in case you needed a quick tutorial on how to create those, there it is. Let's just bring these back online real quick. I'm not going to use them right now, but I just wanted to make sure you know about the restore face node. You don't really need this on. It's more for people in the background, and sometimes it can double things up, especially if you have a soft blur effect. It can bring out faces in the background, make them way too sharp. So I tend to not use that, but I've got it there so you know it exists, because you might want to use it. Anyway, so that's pretty much the face swap node done. So if I just go on to the next one real quick. So interpolation is pretty simple. I recommend Rife. If you don't have big CPU, Rife is going to be a good option. A big GPU even. GIM is quite new and it will require a little bit of VRAM. So you might want to start with Rife and see how you go. Because like I said, if you've got the system, I'm sure you can benefit. I like GIM. I think it's really good. But it does, like I say, use a little bit more power. And obviously you want to have your interpolation set to 2. The default is 8, so just be aware of that. It's up to you how much interpolation you want, but this means it'll double the number of frames in the sequence. Okay, so that's pretty much all you need to know there. It does have a frame load cap and a force rate of 24. So you don't necessarily want or need those, but the defaults are there. So, you know, you can just use 0 to have no limit, by the way, or to take it from whatever the video is. And then I'm using a source FPS to drive the frame rate of the combine. So if you've got like a high frame rate or a low frame rate video that you want to use, it'll dynamically send it to the combine there. But if you want to pin it to 24, which is what a lot of people like to do, there it is. All right, so just there's your options there. They'll be the same for Rife and Film. So let's just jump into the next one, which is going to be my transitions. This has sort of made a bit of a comeback with the whole final frame and reversed, which means first frame. Oh, actually, that's not right. That's not right. I'll have to get that updated. But the point is, I'll get that saved and put it up on GitHub in a minute. But the point is, what you've got is you've got your video being loaded, then you've got the final frame, which becomes transition 1, the frame at the end of the video sequence, yeah? And so we're going to take our video, make that merge A, and then we're going to reverse the frame sequence of the video and use final frame again, which basically means the first frame, and then that will go to 2. So then we'll get a transition, which we can pick from the list, and then that gets tagged on to the end of the video. And if you watch this, nope, this is not actually a good demo either. For some reason, it's just loading this last video forever for me. I don't know why it's doing that, but it seems to be really like that video, my Comfy, right now. So let's just go to the next one. It's pretty simple, to be honest, pretty simple. This one is a little bit more complicated, but we have looked at it in the past. So this is going to be a full flux, and it's Schnell FP8. And it's running 4 steps, and we're running 0.05 denoise with 1.5 boost, which is basically just the same thing for shift, both shift values, okay? That enables us to do 0.05 denoise and still get good upscaling. We're also using tiling of 320. Now, I used to use 768 by 768, but because we're making these 768 by 512 videos, I went down to 320, which is pretty much the smallest tile size that you can use, I think. You might be able to get smaller than that, but it's pretty small, and the idea is obviously because we're using smaller videos, right, when we start off. Just so you know, you can set the upscale by to 1 if you don't want to upscale, and it will just do a bit of flux detailing for you. And then pay attention to the fact that we are making batch into list while we're doing the flux stuff. We do our color match, we do our LUT, and then we turn the list back into a batch. If you don't do that, it's going to break. So it's just a natural thing with the way Comfy works and how it handles the way the images come through. So that's how you actually get that to work. Obviously, we've got an image loader at this end, just like before. Always pay attention to the frame load cap and the force rate, because obviously you really want to have them matching. That'll be 1 second. It'll process 1 second each go. And in fact, look at this. We've got a bit of an error here too. Skip first frame. So that would be, usually there'd be like a primitive here. Sometimes I put a math node there. It's probably missing. That's probably what it is. So I'm intending to upgrade this with a batch operation so that we can have a multiplier and then have seed that's controlling the segments. So if you've got like, a minute long video, you're not really going to want to put that much strain on the computer. So what you generally do is you would say, okay, I want to do 24 frames. So it'd be 24, you process that, and that's going to be 1 second. And then we'd go 48. So we'd actually start at 0, to be honest. You'd do 0 first. So 0 for 24 seconds. And then the second segment would be 24. You do another 24 frames, that's 2 seconds. And then you're basically going to be adding 24 every time. So obviously the next one's 48 and so on and so on and so on. I'm lazy. I don't like having to do the math. I know it's easy math, but I just, why bother when you can just have some... And I may as well just quickly show you that now. So it's always fun to do a little tutorial in the middle of the demo. So if we go with simple math, that's part of the essentials pack, but you can use any expression math. There's a whole bunch of them. We're going to do A times B. Okay. And so then what will happen is we're going to put the int into skip frames. Okay. And then we'll plug this one into B. We'll plug this one into B. Oh, it won't let me. Okay. So we're going to use a math int, I believe. Oi. I love it. I love it when it opens up a shortcut I didn't want. So we're going to say math. I double clicked, see, and it just didn't do it. So yeah, we're going to do math. We take 2 math ints. So the integers obviously are whole numbers, if you didn't know. Okay. And wait a minute, why is it doing this? Right, we want to actually get a math integer, please. I don't want another math instruction. Math int. I don't want there. That's the one I wanted. It was trying to use easy use. My trouble is I got too many nodes. So I'm going to go and do the 2. All right. Now, the reason I like to use the simple math and not use the easy use is because we get the float. Some of the nodes like a float, not an integer. And so it's easy to have one math doing both potential types. Good example of that actually is the frame rate here. Sometimes you want to use a frame rate calculation there. Anyway, so we've got A times B. Now, I just want to help you get your head around this one. So if the frame rate that we're using is 24, what we're going to do is we're going to set one of them to be the number of frames and then one of them to be the segment index. So that means that every time I go up one, it's going to increment by 24. So that means every time I click, it will go up by 24. And so the beauty of that is we can actually use a seed generator. All right. And then that means if we put it onto increment mode, yeah, and 24, all we have to do is queue up however many segments that we want to get through our video, and we can just queue it and go and do something else. So you don't have to sit there, queue, next, you can do batch operation. So that's why I wanted to give you a quick tutorial on that. You'll probably see that setup in a few of my workflows, especially in this Roda pack here. You'll see that I've got a double setup. So we're doing the audio segment index for 30 frames on the video, and then we're doing the audio track, the music track, that's going to be incremented by 4 seconds, and then there's there's a segment index there as well. So what you can do is you can just literally set both of these segment indexes. That's why they're in green, because they're like, your prompt, I guess. This is like your main controls, and this is like yellow for config. So if I go 0 and 0 and I just queue up 4 and hit Q, it's just going to step through this video, and it's also going to step through the audio. So then when you put all of the segments together, it'll all be in sync. You know what I mean? The music's in sync, the video's in sync, and it all kind of works out nicely. So that's why I just sort of decided we'll have a little bit of a segue on there and explain that. If you ever see run this and it says, hey, I've got nothing here, you got 2 choices. Do what I've just shown you, or just go to input and turn it off. All right, because you can just say skip first frames 0 to have it start at the beginning of the video. Now, I don't like teaching people to suck eggs, but I don't really know where you're at in terms of the complexity of your use of Comfy. So I thought it would be a nice thing to just step through that for you real quick. So let's get back to the workflows. The last ones, of course, is the fun stuff. So this is the new stuff from today. I intend to have some text overlay labeling so that we can say, oh, this was CFG 5, this was CFG 6, and stuff like that. So we can have some video grids to sort of show the results of the research. For these, you've got to go choose video, you've got to click and then find the path and load it in manually for each one. So obviously you might be expecting that when we get to doing the 3x3, that's going to be like 9 videos. So that's a lot of videos. I've taken the results of the Comfy tricks nodes, Comfy LTX tricks nodes. So this would be edit and inversion, I think. Edit and inversion. Yeah. For LTXV. All right. So this again is like a comparison grid where you can show things. I just chucked in as many images as I can. The limitation on this one is going to be that they're all the same. They've got to be all the same size and length. Otherwise it might throw errors. Okay. So just bear that in mind. Now, obviously, if you're using video generation and you did a whole big batch, they will all be the same size and length. So it's not going to be a problem for you. All right. So now let's move on to that final one, which is basically the big one. Let's see, 2x3 same. So here's the one that's actually going to get released. So this is the one that you'll download, okay? It's got frame rate force. It's got skip frames, and it affects every single one. And they're all being loaded from a single loader. So you click choose video to upload here. So if I was to just take, let's find a video. We'll go into Zoda because we got loads of Zoda videos, and we'll go into LTX-edit, and that's the same one. How is it that I ended up on the exact same folder, huh? Just luck of the draw, maybe? Okay, let's go with this one here, right? So it's got a bunch of policemen dancing in their offices, okay? And there's nothing else I have to do. I just make sure I haven't got 16 batch and just run one. And it's going to go ahead and it's going to first load the video, and then it's just kind of like a laziness thing. I wanted one place to control them all quickly. So we've just done this trick where we load the video, have it combine with nothing being done, select file name -1, and then go into a bunch of video paths which have the parameterized video load. So then it's just going to load the exact same one for every single thing. And then you end up with this policeman doing a dance, okay? And the reason I'm trying to show you this is because it's like, if you start doing crazy effects, hang on, is the frame rate completely scuffed here? So I've said frame rate, right, it needs to be 24 because obviously it's LTXV. So let's just change that. And then it's going to make me another grid. Obviously we've got project file name, so you can find your projects in the folder with the name there. So you give it a name and that's where it's going to save them. It'll save them into VideoGrid, compare, clip, and it's got like project names, like I say, so you can organize your stuff. And there we go. Now he's dancing away. And it might not look that great, but the thing is, if I'm going to then load this into the glitch or some other audio reactive effect, you're not going to know that it's not perfect because it's just going to look like a person dancing. And that's pretty much what I'm going for. That's what I wanted to show you guys. There's going to be a whole lot more on this sort of thing. So that's just about everything I've got for you. I think I've shown you everything I wanted to show you. So don't forget to check out Pivot, join us on Discord, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.